All right, I think you can go ahead.
Ya la 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 la, da 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 dum, da da dum da 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 dum, da 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 dum, da ya da 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 ya da da, da 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 ya, ay 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 yo, ya 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 da 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 dum, ay ya da 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 ya da da, da 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 ya, ay 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 yo, ay ay ya da 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 dum, ay 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 ya da dum, da 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 dum, ay 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 ya da dum, da 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 dum, ay 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 ya da dum, da 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 dum, ay 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 ya da dum, da 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 dum, ay ya da 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 ya da da, da 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 da, da 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 do, da 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 dum, ba da dum ba da 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 dum. Da 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 dum, one more time. Ba da bum ba da 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 dum, da 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 dum.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So as always, we're going to begin with a little update in the community. I was absent last week. I was at Green Family Camp, and I can tell you definitively it is very hot. Very, very hot. But the kids were having a good time, and so I pretended to have a good time. And there was a lot of good things going on, I have to say. So cheers to that. Now, some of you may be a little puzzled by this, but I will share with you some of my personal foibles, and one of them is that the price I have paid for living a young and reckless life at 5,000 feet in Albuquerque, New Mexico, as a young man, is that now I have to regularly have my head zapped for anticipated skin cancer things. I don't have skin cancer, it just, it's a gruesome process, it's very painful. And then every once in a while, it goes a bit awry, and it gets a little uncomfortable and disgusting. So I don't want you to see that, so that's why that's there. But I'm absolutely fine. So that's a quick update on me. Let me hear about what's happening with y'all. What's that? Okay. Yeah. So let's get a little good and blessing from around the room. Let's start over there with those people over there. Yes?
I just started my bar mitzvah project.
Excellent. And do I understand it involves petting animals? Yes, okay. So I'm sure there's more to it, but it sounds pretty good. That sounds like a pretty good mitzvah project. Very good. Who else has a good and blessing to share with us? On this side of the room? Yes, Adrian.
I won 5 mahjong games in a row.
Okay, and you won all 5 of them, right? Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, I just wanted to clarify, was this just an endurance test, or was this a triumph? I wanted to see. So who else on this side of the room? Anybody have a good and blessing to share with us? No? All right, we're going to move over here. RJ. Mazel tov. I saw some of the pictures on Facebook.
Now, here's what's interesting. She's from Mexico, too.
You're right.
And she says she's never met a Jewish person before.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained something to her. Her last name's Velasquez.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I said, your name is Sephardic Jewish.
Huh?
And she said, no, I didn't know that. And I had to explain to her, that Jews from Spain came.
Mm-hmm.
And I got her curiosity.
All right.
So if she comes in here,
All right.
asks any questions, you'll know what's going on.
A new MOT, yes. It's about 16% of people of Hispanic background have some Jewish ancestry, so it's always fascinating. Keep up the good work, young man. Who else has a good and blessing? Yes, Deborah.
I have two.
Two.
One I can bring, the milkman did not bring me.
Okay.
I had a deviated septum my whole life, and
Oh.
I didn't know it, and they finally fixed it, so look at me breathing.
No, you know, because I had to have my tonsils done, the ENT, when I was like 37 years old, just said, "You've got a lot of scar tissue in your sinuses." And he just reamed them out, and within a week, my wife said, "You don't snore anymore," right? So that's fantastic. No, these things are fantastic.
And the second one is I felt good enough to come here.
Good. We're glad. It's always good to see both of you. So, anybody else there in the back rows have anything? Deborah.
I don't usually say anything, but I want to say that I bless my air conditioning serviceman.
Oh, gosh.
He has kept my 28-year-old
Ooh.
air conditioner going through this triple-digit disaster.
Yep. So, yes, bless the HVAC people all around, because they're out there working very hard to keep us cool.
Electricity stayed on.
Yeah, and the electricity has held, and hopefully our Kanahora, poo. And hopefully our heat dome will disappear in the next couple of days. So I have a couple of announcements related to what we know is going on as good and blessing. So we have a number of anniversaries this week. We have Eric and Maria Kaplan, and Adam and Amy Johnson, Cassie and Shelby Katev, and Daniel and Teresa Sohn, all are celebrating anniversaries this week. And for birthdays, we include Bruce Bond and Dennis Gerson, Matthew Sand, Benjamin Weisbard, Marv Feldman, Joel Rubin, and Mitchell Sand. Yeah, they should probably be bunched together. Yeah, I don't know why they're separated like that. Yes, no, I understand. All right, well. Yeah, so with that, it's time for us to light the lights of Shabbat. Hannah, what's the likelihood you would come up and light for us? Would you do that for us? Here's the service we're using tonight, so would you do us the honor? Page 1, everyone, page 1.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'halakeh shel Shabbat.
Yasher Koach, my dear, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to welcome the Shabbat into our midst. We're going to turn to page 2. Kabbalat Shabbat means receiving the Sabbath, and we do so with prayers of joy and celebration of the natural world, but also celebration of God's presence within it. So we start with Psalm 95, Lechuna Ranuna.
La נקדם פניו בתודה, נקדם פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו, בזמירות נריע לו, יא לה לה לה, יא לה 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 לה, יא לה 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 לה, נקדמה.
We turn now to Psalm 96 in the middle of the page, Yismechu Hashemayim. Yismechu Hashemayim v'targel haaretz v'yiram hayam umalo'o. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exalt. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exalt. And then all the trees of the forest shall shout for joy at the presence of Adonai. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and the peoples faithfully. We turn now to Psalm 29 on page 6.
Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod ba'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai b'chadrat kodesh. Adonai oz le'amod yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Ascribe to Adonai, you children of God. Ascribe to Adonai glory and strength. Ascribe to Adonai the glory of God's name, and worship Adonai in the beauty of holiness. May Adonai give strength to this people. May Adonai bless this people with peace. And we take ourselves into Shabbat with Lecha Dodi on page 7.
Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, shemu tiferet v'tehila. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha. Merosh miketem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tehila. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech kumi uri, 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 shir daberi, kevod Adonai al yiknigla. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likra kala pnei Shabbat דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
So come in peace, you crown of your husband, with rejoicing and with joy, to those who are faithful, a treasured people. So come, O bride, come, O Shabbat. I'm going to invite you now to turn over to page 9 for the Hatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash meraba.
Amen.
Belma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute.
B'chayechon u'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, imaru,
Amen. Yehesh meraba mevorach. Le'olam ulam le'omaya. Yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach. V'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yithalal. Shmeira kudasha
B'rechu.
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran belma.
Imaru.
Amen.
And now, if able, please rise for the call to worship the Baruch Hu.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, u'vitvanam shenei itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakokavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirotzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavdil yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Praised are you, Adonai, who makes this evening fall. Ahavat olam. Unending is your love for your people, Torah, mitzvot, laws, and precepts you have taught us. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Day and night we reflect on them, for they are our life and the length of our days, and then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is Adonai, who loves this people Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated, and I invite you to join us in the V'yah.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, וחיו הדברים מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אמת ואמונה. אמת ואמונה כל זאת, וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו. True and enduring, beloved, precious, awesome, good, and beautiful is this eternal teaching. This truth we hold to be forever certain. Adonai is our ruler, the rock of Jacob, shield of our salvation. Adonai, our God, you redeemed us from Egypt. You set us free from the house of bondage. For this, the people who felt your love sang songs of praise to you. Living God, high and exalted, mighty and awesome, who humbles the proud, raises the lowly, who frees the captive and redeems the oppressed, who is the answer to all who cry out. All praise to God Most High, the source of blessing. Like Moses and Israel, we sing this song of rejoicing.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi kamoch ba'elim Adonai, mi kamoch nedat b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam livnei Moshe, ze eli anu ve'amru, ze eli anu ve'amru. Sorry, guys. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Adonai imloch leolam va'ed. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedat b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele.
Hashkivenu, a prayer for bedtime. Grant that we lie down tonight in peace, Adonai our God, and raise us up tomorrow, O Sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake be our help. Shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war, famine, and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful Sovereign, give us refuge in the shadow of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that always we have life and peace. We praise you, O God, whose sukkah of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We come now to the next part of our service. I invite you all to please rise if able.
Adonai sfatai tifta, Adonai sfatai tifta,
ata Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Hasei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, L'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Me'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Karav L'Hoshia, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Geburot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umekayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Ne'eman Natan Lekayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Adonai HaGadol. Oh, we got a little bit of ourselves. Atah Kadosh, Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'Kol Yom Yikamu Chasela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And in honor of this Shabbat, we're going to be singing Yismechu on the middle of page 21.
Right. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. מקדשי 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 שבי שבת שבת. כולם כולם ישמחו ויצנגו מטיבך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת שבת. ובשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. זכר למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
Great say, Adonai our God, show favor to this people Israel and lovingly receive our prayers. May the worship of your people always be acceptable, for you alone do we hold in reverence. Moedim. And we give thanks to you, Adonai our God and God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in all generations. And so we thank you and we recite your praises. Let all the living affirm you and praise your name as the God of our salvation and help. Praise to you, Adonai. Goodness is your name. All praises to you. As usual, we're going to conclude with Shalom Rav, asking God for abundant peace, and then we're going to take a few moments of our own silent prayer and meditation.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. We begin with ourselves. We're all in need of love. We're all deserving of holding. We're all deserving of light and peace. We open up our hearts and we offer ourselves this blessing. May I be safe. May I be free. May I find space, space to just be. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May I find my way back home. Can you hear our song? Can you hear and we call to mind someone who is good to us, someone whose face brings us joy, someone who makes us laugh. Even though we don't feel like laughing, they make us feel better. Someone who brings joy and peace. We open up our hearts and we offer them this blessing. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space, space to just be. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May you find your way back home. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May you find your way back home. And we call to mind someone who is difficult for us, someone we don't understand. And even though we try, even though we try and we try again and again and again and again, they don't understand us, and we don't understand them. Someone who makes you feel small. We open up our hearts and we try to offer them this blessing. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space, space to just be. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May you find your way back home. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May you find your way back home. And we call to mind all that is good here, all the strength in our families, all the love in our community, all the good that we can do together. When we show up, when we say yes, when we extend our hands to one another, all the grace that we can feel, each and every one. We open up our hearts and we offer ourselves this blessing. May we be safe. May we be free. May we find space, space to just be. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May we find our way back home. Can you hear our song? Can you hear our song? May we find our way back home.
So, this week we are coming up on the 4th of July. Once again, we have an opportunity to celebrate our republic, the ideals that it stands for, the things that it expresses and maybe also the aspirations it has not yet achieved. And we have ample reason to do that. Our country remains a remarkable country, an amazing land that is the creation of we the people, and we should take great pride in that. But it's also a time this week of rough passages, as often happens in American history. And, sometimes life imitates art, but I have learned how surprisingly often events imitate the Torah portion. And so let's talk about our Torah portion, because some of you may be confused. You have probably been looking online, because I know you're all looking in advance to see what's going to be happening, right? And so you've noticed that it's a double portion, Hukat Balak. However, in my absolute doctrinaire reform position, I believe this congregation should follow the Israeli cycle. And according to the Israeli cycle, we are not in a double portion. We're just doing Balak. And so I am going to impose my template upon you, because I think it's ridiculous that we observe second days of holidays when we know exactly when the holidays stop. I won't get on my soapbox for that too much longer. Anyway, so for my purposes, our Torah portion is Balak, which begins by noting a note of fear. The fear of King Balak of Moab at seeing that the Israelites are amassing at his border. In just 3 sentences, the biblical author sets the stage for this story of fear and dread and confrontation. Balak saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was alarmed because the people were so numerous. And Moab dreaded the Israelites, and Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this horde will lick clean all that is about us, as an ox licks clean the grass of the field." The king was terrified. He no doubt also incited his people to terror at the invading Israelites that stood at their borders, who, they said, just wanted to cross the boundary of Moab and travel on to the land they were promised. But at 600,000 people, according to the biblical account, how should the king respond to this apparent intrusion? Well, he didn't build a wall as we've tried to do. He didn't separate families as we've tried to do. He didn't try and take control of children as we've done, or try and send them all back into the desert. Those are modern solutions for things that didn't exist with ancient boundaries. Instead, Balak sought the help of Balaam, or Bilam, usually with an E in English, but it's Balaam, a famous prophet sorcerer that he's going to hire to put a curse upon the Israelites. And so Balak sent word to Balaam, "Come and put a curse upon this people for me, since they are too numerous for me to deal with. Perhaps I can thus defeat them and drive them out of our land. For I know that the one whom you bless is blessed indeed, and the one whom you curse is cursed." Now, we could focus, as I might have thought of doing a week ago, on the most obvious reading, that people flow to the borders of the U.S. and they come to seek jobs, to seek settlement. But many of us, like Balak, fear something more nefarious is afoot, so we react with fear and dread and the desire to punish. But I'd like to take this story this week in a slightly different direction. I'd like to take the story of Balak and Bilam and the people Israel to a more intimate American to American level. See, we've had a very interesting week in terms of decisions from the Supreme Court. And it has comforted some Americans and frightened others. And so there are some of us who felt blessed before and cursed now, and some of us who felt cursed before and blessed now because of these changing decisions. Now, from the perspective of the people, there are some Americans who feel held back, Americans who would like to be able to shatter the boundaries placed upon them within the country and to go forward. They feel blocked by race or class, prevented by prejudice over who they love, struggling for the American dream while bound to that most of all American balls and chains, debt. Others fear what will happen if the society gives in to the demands of these people who want to go forward, that meritorious Americans might be prevented from going to their preferred schools of higher learning because favor is somehow given to certain people over them, or that they will be forced to accommodate the requests of fellow Americans that they find religiously objectionable or even repugnant. That what's created is an intolerable moral hazard that will result if some people are given accommodation for their debts that they haven't earned themselves. And you're all familiar with the concept of moral hazard, that when we get things we don't deserve or we haven't earned, that somehow that reduces our moral capacity, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I want you to fully understand that while I have positions on all of these things, I understand both sides of these arguments. And I can see how we arrived at the decisions that have come down this week, and that some feel blessed newly by these decisions, and others feel cursed by them. So I believe, however, that just like in our narrative, if we think about it and address these issues correctly, we can turn what we might perceive as a curse into a blessing. And I'd like to reflect with you on that just a little bit here so that we can think about how this is all going to play out. All right, the idea that we would have a colorblind or completely equal society that didn't judge anybody or give them any accommodation based on their race or anything, or gender, or anything like that, works on a theoretical level, but of course it ignores how much of American benefit already flows to a certain set of privileged classes, and that people have an innate advantage over other people in, for example, going to the school they want to. We all are aware of the concept of the legacy, of which something like 35% of everyone who gets to go to Harvard gets to go to Harvard because their father or their mother went to Harvard. So there's already bias, and none of that's being addressed. So the attempt to do this on the idea of affirmative action, that's the term we came up with, has always been controversial. We've had this concept with us now for about 50 years, and it has largely been undone. Some would say in 50 years we should have corrected this problem. I don't think we have, but that's the argument. However, I don't want those who are thinking about this and about the desire to help people advance themselves from the very backward position they found themselves in the beginning. It's impossible to do. So if I were to try and turn this curse into a blessing, I would say, as has many people for quite some time, that maybe what we need to do is show a bias, but not towards people on the basis of race, but on the basis of their socioeconomic status. 25% of the people who go to Harvard come from families who are millionaires. But that's not how America divides up demographically. Demographically, we're talking about the top 5% making up the top 25% of Harvard. Maybe if we showed bias towards people who are low on the economic rung, we would lift up a lot of people. It would be fair because we would send the percentage of people who are poor to Harvard. If 50% of us make less than $60,000 a year, and 50% of the people admitted to Harvard are from families of that sort, what's unfair about that? And that will, in fact, include an awful lot of people of color. Now, it may not be the instrument that was imagined, but I frankly feel like affirmative action has been living on borrowed time now for the last 20 years. So I'm not surprised by this decision, and there are ways to turn this curse into a blessing. And then there is the question of moral hazard, which why are we talking about forgiving the debts of certain people? Isn't that going to create an expectation of moral hazard in them? Well, maybe, but of course, moral hazard is with us even at this moment. You know, if moral hazard is getting something you have not earned yourself, then everyone who's about to inherit a fortune from their parents are subject to exactly the same moral hazard as anybody who gets their loan forgiven. And, of course, we have to realize that we forgive loans all the time through the federal government. Banks and certain businesses, we will salvage them, even though they have not earned that money. So there is a way to do this, I'm sure, that is not clearly going to work according to the original model proposed, but I understand there's already a new strategy for doing this. So, you know, as I understand it, these loans are not held by banks, but by the federal government itself. And since we forgive banks, we pay for wars, we find money whenever we consider it a priority, we will find a way to find this and give it a priority, and it will be a blessing. Perhaps the most nuanced and difficult for us is the difficult question of public accommodation versus personal expression. And this comes down, particularly in this particular case before the Supreme Court, about whether a person who objects to people with certain lifestyles should be required to accommodate them as a public service. Now, the fact of the matter is, for the last half century, more than that, 60 years, the idea that anybody opening a business to the public has an obligation to serve the entire public has been the norm in America. And we should all realize that that was not the case. You know, for many, many decades, you could walk up to a store and it would say, no Negroes, no Jews, you know, whatever particular group of people that business person didn't want to deal with could not rent a hotel, rent an apartment, shop in that business. And starting in the 1960s, we made it a policy that anybody who offers public accommodation, service to everyone, it has to be everyone. Now, what is unique here, and what I understand as with a kind of, what's the word I want, with a sympathetic ear, is that the issue of religious conscience is something that every Jew should take seriously. And of course, if someone came to us and said to us, I would like you to make me a website for my neo-Nazi party, you as a business person would like the right to say, no, I'm not going to assist that. And that's really the argument being made from the other side, is that I don't want to have to make a website for a gay wedding. And I get it. And it works because in American life, whether we appreciate it or not, religion gets a special pass. Because of the First Amendment, the religious conscience of people in America is uniquely protected in the way that their prejudices or their racism is not. And so I understand the ruling. How do we get from that, which feels like a curse to many of us, to a blessing, is probably by working out how to limit that to the most obvious and understandable, because it's so easy to contrive a religion in America. You know, in America, you throw a rock and you hit a religion. And somebody may declare that it's my religious conscience that all black people are inferior and therefore I don't need to serve black people. So that's the danger. And there we have to, I think, trust in our institutions that they will insist that this is a religious accommodation and a religious accommodation is own. Look it, I know how many of us feel and think. We Jews are committed to welcoming the stranger, to supporting people different from ourselves, to understanding the plight and the struggles of those who encounter invisible boundaries that they would like to cross and others would like to prevent them from crossing. Why? Because we were strangers in the land of Egypt. For most of our families, it is but a generation or two that our forebears had to flee someplace else that persecuted us in order to find refuge in this nation, from pogroms, yes, but also from poverty. So we understand the hearts of the strangers as they struggle for their piece of the American dream and the moral imperatives that require us to protect them. As Jews, we look to our children for hope and future. We cherish the bonds that unite our families and are sustained by transmitting our heritage and our values to the generations that follow us. And we understand that other people have their values also. As Jews, we also teach the inherent dignity of all people. We believe it is morally wrong to isolate or humiliate or label people as potential whatever because of the color of their skin or the people they love or the goals they set for themselves to move beyond their own current social standing. These attitudes and these actions of suspicion I do regard to be as curses upon our land and on our nation. And as Jews and Americans, since we know, as our Torah teaches us, the heart of the stranger, for we were strangers in the land of Egypt, so we need to continue to be committed to welcoming the refugee, the immigrant, the person of color, the gay and lesbian couple. We see these moments as subverting these core values, but hopefully I will, if you don't remember, you don't know, I will tell you, the conclusion of the story of King Balak and the sorcerer Balaam is this. Though brought to Moab to curse the Israelites, Balaam instead blesses them. His curses are turned to blessing. And King Balak is furious, but Balaam tells him he can only speak the words that God has put into his mouth. Balak takes him to another overlook, and so he tries to get him to curse them again, but exactly the same thing happens. 3 times it happens, and in the end, Balaam says the words that we recite on Saturday morning every day in our synagogue. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How fair are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Those are the words of someone who was intended to curse us, and instead they found blessing. It's the words that are often inscribed on the doors of synagogues, words that we recite all the time. But also remember this from the story. For all of his anxiety, for all of the potential for conflict, in fact, the Israelites did not destroy the Moabite kingdom. They just went on to the promised land that they heard about. So how do we accomplish that? How do we open a doorway for people while also accommodating the fear of other people about what is going to happen? How can we turn our curses into blessing? Well, it takes courage and it takes determination. It takes strength and it also takes a little imagination. We'll work around these laws as we go forward. And if we do so, I think eventually the fearful people will realize that their kingdom is not in danger, that granting rights to others doesn't mean you will have less rights, or as the t-shirt says, it's not pie. If everybody can have the same rights. And so, through our determination and commitment, we can turn the curses of our current culture, the curses of suspicion, of conspiracy, of totalizing hatred, into the blessings that we all know from our tradition, welcoming the stranger, ensuring the dignity for all, believing in the sanctity of families and the sanctities of religious belief, creating a society of opportunity, a place for hope, where there are no borders that must be breached, but rather everyone can flourish to the degree that their abilities and their talents will allow them to do so. Shabbat Shalom, and happy 4th of July, everybody. So, time for announcements. Who's our officer tonight? You are the officer, and you are a mighty officer. You are a mighty officer, Molly. Come on up.
Yes, but it's my last one.
Okay, that's all right, because you've done 2 years of,
Ritual,
2 years of devoted service as the vice president of Ritual. We make the swap out in July, so it's all over this weekend.
Today, right, today's the last day.
That's it, but
I
we
go
are
home, yeah.
grateful, thank you.
No, thank you. It's been a good 2 years. Okay, so I'm doing announcements tonight. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, we did the birthdays, we did da-da-da-da. Okay. Congregation Kol Ami office will be closed on Tuesday, July 4th, and then back open for normal hours on the 5th. So that's good. The blood drive is going on. I need something to help my lines. I can't see the. Okay, CKA is proud to announce another quarterly blood drive in partnership with Carter Blood Care on July 29th from noon until 4 p.m. Remember, every donation can help up to 3 people. Every drop counts. You can find all the details and reserve your time on the website. There you go. Thank you for helping us with this mitzvah that benefits the entire community. Beginning next week, Congregation Kol Ami is changing our oneg process. Starting with the oneg on July 7th, families will be able to pick a date or dates where they would like to host. You will be able to sign up yourself on the website, of course, on the website, under member tools, and you may host and provide food directly, or you can sponsor an oneg with a minimum donation of $40. Deborah, you were asking about that. Yes. Thank you for wanting to do that. Please help us with this important mitzvah and sign up on the website now. We want to make sure that we have coverage for every Friday night, so don't wait. We need your help. That's it for the announcements. That's short.
It's not a heck of a lot going on.
No, I guess not. Guess not. Okay, Misha Berach. We do the Misha Berach. And the words for Misha Berach is on the back of the program and in your book, I think, page 40.
Actually, I brought a new song called Prayer for Healing
Okay.
by Todd Herzog.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a printout tonight or anything.
That's okay. Let me go ahead and read the names, and we'll get other people and stuff, and then I'm just gonna step back and you take off with it. You guys know what you're gonna do. So, okay. Misha Berach list: Joyce Bloom, Natalie Bovino, George Cavanis, Mark Davis, Francine Feingold, Deborah Goodman, Michelle Griffin, Hannah P. Johnson, Molly Kalig, John Kaufman, Deb Kaufman, Janice Keener, Lauren Koenig, Alex Koenig, Al Landon, Matt Levin, Phyllis Lorelli, Steve Meyerdirk, Mal Miller, Anthony Neria, Jack Nygren, okay, Gabby Olson, Paul Redwood Jr., Helen Rubel, Adrian Sandler, Dale Seaver, Susan Tabor, Happy Waterman, Howard Watt, Wynn Marks, and over here on this side, we'll start over here. And is there anyone that would like to add names? Arlene?
Hank Weil, Susie Cornblit, John Denier, Rilda Hefner.
Very good. Marcia? Nadine Willis and Janet Peters. Thank you. Very good. We're going this way, RJ?
Leticia Murillo and Jay Delmar.
Very good. Thank you. Toby?
Carol Francis.
Very good. Audrey Lehman and Karen Keel. Very nice. Thank you, Deb.
Patricia Smith, and as a combination, even though Hannah's on Misha Berach, she did come home from the hospital.
You can still say one word.
Still, definitely good. I'm glad to hear she's home. Good, excellent. Okay, any other For healing? Oh, I'm sorry.
Marilyn Colton and Robin Peck.
Okay. All right, this is our new song, huh?
So this is a call and response one, so feel free to join in when you see me go like that.
Dear God of our ancestors,
Help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Bring peace to all our days.
Bring peace to all our days.
And now, Refanalanu. And now, Refanalanu. Restore strength of body.
Restore strength of body.
Help clarify our minds.
Help clarify our minds.
Refresh our tired spirits.
Refresh our tired spirit.
Rejuvenate our light.
Rejuvenate our life.
And now, Refanalanu. And now, Refanalanu. Thank you for all these blessings.
Thank you for all these blessings.
Throughout our days and nights,
Throughout our days and nights,
we celebrate the journey,
we celebrate the journey.
this precious gift of life.
This precious gift of life.
And now, Refanalanu. And now,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time now for us to conclude our service. We're going to turn to page 82. And just in my semi-random way of just picking people out, because I haven't seen her in so long, Miss Epstein, would you come up and open the ark with me? Please rise, everyone.
Vedata
Please be seated. Bayom ha'hu, bayom ha'hu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad. And now it's time we recall with love and appreciation the names of those whom we have recently lost, as well as those whose yahrzeits or anniversaries of death occur this week. So I'm going to begin with Shiva, and I'm going to name someone who I don't know, but somehow I feel like I do, Alan Arkin, who died yesterday. Who else is in Shiva? Is there anybody observing Shloshim? Would you share the name with us? Thank you. Anyone else who's lost a loved one in the last month? Please. Thank you. For yahrzeits, we have to make the observation the first third of this list is actually from last week. I'm not sure what happened, but we're going to name them all. So Marie Natalie Bernard, Richard Klein, Ray Cram, Tova Lewin, Louis Mintz, Jackie Tucker, and Rebecca Zamachow, forgive me. And then for this week, we want to think of Anthony Brill, Ellen Burke, Victoria Davidson, Helmut Doring, Ruth Lyon Kenter, Evelyn Klein Enneman, Ruth Gutler, Sarah Mead, Charles Benoff Neff, Rebecca Mansky-Shane, Dan Shiro, and Jeffrey Watt. Is there anyone else who's observing a yahrzeit or anniversary of death? The memory of all these people are here with us, and together as a community, we rise to honor each of those people and to show our support for those who mourn for them. Page 85, please join me in Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah, ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei b'chol Beit Yisrael, b'galal uv'zman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'elam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yiturmam v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shmei Dukucha Barichu, Ve'ela Min Kol Birchata Vashirata, Tushbachata V'nechemata, Damiran Be'alma V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Osei Shalom Bimroma, Huya Sei Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, amen. And so for our closing song, please have a seat. What are we going for the closing song?
So it's a brand new song just written 2 weeks ago. It's called Your Safe Space. I wrote it after somebody very close to me shared something very personal with me that was hard for them to share with me. And so as we close out Pride Month, I thought this would be a good song to sing at this time, and I hope that you guys like it. The world can be a heavy place, and somehow we carry it all till we run out of space, feel like a disgrace. The world can be a heavy place, and even in the darkest room, a light always finds a way to find a crack and slip on through. You know you're gonna be okay if you let me be your safe space. Let me be your safe space. כל העולם כולו גשר צר מאוד, והעיקר לא להיכחר כלל. Amen. Together we can fearlessly cross that narrow bridge. I promise to make space for you. There's nothing we can't do. If you let me be your safe space, let me be your safe space. It's up to us to do what we must to find ourselves a safe space. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Lovely. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us for Oneh.